Right, just in case you're extremely disinterested and not even bothered about it, there's a postscript.
See how you like them apples.
Right then, hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you happen to be. My name is Paul, I'm also called Knick-Knack, I'm the brains behind Knick-Knack's Old Peculiar, the world's most incredibly repetitive blog. I'm also the man behind Knick-Knack's Daily Teaser, a set of possibly fun and enjoyable brain teaser quizzes. I also do a few movie reviews, and I'll try and do one soon. I've seen a couple that look like they're interesting. And I also talk about TV shows I'm watching. I've caught or been catching the third and final season of Star Trek Picard, which is really looking rather good. And just recently, and more relevantly, I've also been watching Series 3 of For All Mankind. Last night was Sunday the 2nd of April, and I managed to catch episode 9, Coming Home. This is what I thought of the episode. Episode 9, Coming Home, opens with the usual summary of earlier episodes, and then shifts to show us Danny, Casey W. Johnson, recording a message for his wife, telling her how a joint team from Helios, Russia and NASA are digging up the Helios transport drone so it can get them up to the Polaris and started back on the long trip to Earth. There's problems though. As Danny puts it, refueling the module with the stuff they have to hand is like filling up a jetliner with a soda can. Back in the food growing area of the base, Ed, Joel Kinnaman, meets his heavily pregnant daughter Kelly, Cynthia Wu, just before her next medical exam by flight surgeon Mayakovsky. Goran Ivanovsky, I hope I've got that right. The surgeon is keen to make a point that the sooner Kelly is back on Polaris, the happier he will be. Mars' low gravity and its thin air aren't exactly good for a growing baby. Post-titles, we see that the Earth's news stations is full of news about Kelly's pregnancy, something that President Wilson is only half grateful for. It's keeping the voters' attention from her troubles, but not her political rivals' attention. The Speaker of the House is threatening to reveal all about her husband's affairs unless, she takes funds off of NASA, cancels the Mars program, and puts the money raised elsewhere. Money isn't just a worry for the President. Over at Helios HQ, Helios CEO Dev Aisha, Ed Gathegi, is having a confrontation with a Helios board, as its members seem happy to pull funding from the Mars trip. Funding and the Phoenix itself. The board thinks selling the ship could be a handy way of raising much-needed funds. That could be the least of Dev's and the planet's troubles. He, like the two teams on Mars, aren't expecting a North Korean astronaut. He, like the rest of the world, isn't expecting the President's little announcement. And he, unlike us, can't see a leader's meeting with an agent of the FBI, a leader played by Coral Pena. Dev has possibly got a few surprises coming. Now, did I enjoy Coming Home? Did I see something that reminded me of something else? Let's do that last question first, shall we? Yes, I did. Do you know anything roughly about the history of Apple, the tech company that's behind the Apple TV Plus service that makes and airs For All Mankind? I know a little about it, and you, like me, will possibly know how co-founder and original CEO Steve Jobs was booted out of the company in 1985, only to return in 1997, helping turn the company into an even bigger giant than it is today. The reason I mention that is simply that the character of Dev Aisha reminded me of Jobs, especially in episode 2, where Eddie Gathegi's character delivers what looks a hell of a lot like a Steve note, one of the presentations that Jobs was famous for. Coincidence? I don't know, but I think possibly the fact it's made by the TV service it's made by possibly has something to do with that. Coming Home, as an additional thought, or by contrast, or whatever, had me thinking of the time Jobs was kicked out of his own company in 1985, and thinking that Helios board chairman Dickie Hilliard, player Hickey, was the parallel to the real-world Apple CEO John Scully, the person who basically kicks Jobs off the board. Does that mean that the Hilliard character or the Dev Aisha character will have a place in upcoming fourth season of For All Mankind? Is Helios going to be a factor? Is the company going to be continued being in the series? I don't know. We will have to see. Dev being potentially off the board, though, was reminiscent of a real-world piece of history, but also was just one more moment of high drama in Coming Home. It's an episode which sees another potential betrayer, as Aleida refuses to tell the FBI what she knows about Margot Madison and ends up crying on the floor of her design studio. It's an episode that sees Kelly really seriously needing to get off Mars. And it's an episode that sees Danielle and Commander Kuznetsov, Chris Marshall, Lev Gorn, finding a seriously unexpected item in the bagging area. Frankly, I am going to be glued to the next and last 10th episode next week, because I want to find out how this series finishes. With all of that lot said, I will be watching Surrender, the next episode of Star Trek Picard's third season, on the 7th of April. I will have my written and... let me double check my dates here. Yes, I will have my written and video reviews up on Saturday the 8th. I got the day wrong. And I will be watching the last episode of this series of For All Mankind on Sunday the 9th, and we'll have the written and video reviews up of that up on Monday the 10th. I would love it if you came along. I would love it if you watched those reviews when I publish them. I would love it if you were around and left a comment or two and subscribed and hit the notification bell, possibly even left something in my tip jar. But I'd love it if you just turned up to watch. With all of that said, I am not going to call it a date. I'll just be calling it see you later. Have a very good week.
Enjoy the footnote.
Right, as far as I can tell, the last episode of this series, Stranger in a Strange Land, takes its name from the Robert Heinlein 1961 novel of the same name, obviously, that's about a human being born on Mars. It didn't take me much to see the connection there to Kelly Baldwin's kid, so hey ho.